the ISIS border threat we may all regret if we don't stop it now. The head of a federal immigration workers union warning that ISIS terrorists may have already crossed our southern border or will do so soon. And one Republican lawmaker saying 4 people with terrorist ties may have been nabbed crossing that border earlier this month. So do we need to lock it down right now to protect our lives and livelihood right now? Hi, everyone. I'm Brenda Butner. This is Bulls and Bears. Here they are, the Bulls and Bears this week. Gary B. Smith, Tracy Burns, Jonas Max Ferris, John Layfield, along with Emily Tish Sussman. Welcome to everybody. Okay, John, how many more warnings until Washington gets it?
I hope not anymore. I hope that the warnings are enough. Look, ISIS has said they're coming to the United States. We have a national federal government union head now saying that ISIS is coming across the border. ISIS is now putting out blueprints on the internet about how to make bombs so you can blow up places specifically in the United States. There's been 60,000 drug-related murders in Mexico. Estimates are as high as 120,000. 60,000 is the official number. That is a war zone down there. To sneak another bad guy through a bunch of bad guys is pretty easy to do. This isn't about immigration. This isn't about amnesty or deportation about people here. This is about protecting our country. We've got their blueprint. We've got their game plan. We even know where they say they're coming through. We've got to do something to stop it.
Well, Gary B., there clearly is more urgency to this issue this week with all of these new warnings about terrorists allegedly coming across the border. But they can get in this country without doing that. Is this worth the cost?
I don't think so, Brenda. You know, I've really come full circle on this after looking into it a lot over the past few weeks. First of all, estimates are from the Immigration Patrol. It costs about $22 billion to build this fence. That's not including buying all the land, fixing up all the holes every year. And then you think, is it even going to work? I mean, you know how many hijackers from 9/11 were here illegally? None of them. I mean, as an example, we had the Berlin Wall, you know, back during World War II, the most heavily fortified wall in the history of mankind. You know how many times it was breached? Thousands of times per year. Brenda, we need more intelligence. We need more security. Building a $22 billion plus wall is going to be somebody's folly.
You know, Tracy, a lot of people think that the people crossing the border are just from Mexico or Guatemala, but people from more than 100 countries, including Syria, Iraq, Iran. How serious is this?
It's really serious. This has been something that has been bothering me for a while now. We are not taking it serious enough. ISIS is here. I don't care what anybody says. They're here. And what scares me the most, Brenda, is that they infiltrate the minds of children. And when children cross the border, everyone, you know, the tears start coming down. We want to take care of them. But so many of these kids are trained to hate us and potentially kill us. And yet we are just letting them in, welcoming them with open arms, paying for their medical, paying for everything. And it's just going to come back to bite us. Geez, build a wall, not a fence. Build anything you have to protect this country.
Okay, Jonas, you could build a wall on our southern border, but that doesn't prevent ISIS from getting into the country.
No, because as I mentioned a few weeks ago, and now recently John McCain has mentioned, the Canadian border is a huge porous border that is just as open or more open than the Mexican border. So although it's a nice idea to have these walls across our borders, to Gary's point, the cost benefit here, I mean, how much are you going to spend to stop a machete attack? It's not a nuclear attack from an army. It's terrorism. Now, we have to do more in the country, I think, to stop the movement of people. But that means us making sacrifices, maybe getting rid of cash, maybe having more cameras in cities, things to prevent people, maybe requiring federal ID. You don't have to have identification in this country, really, to mill about. So those are things we have to think about, not just bigger walls at these very long borders this country has.
Okay, Emily, what do you think? What's your take?
Look, it's not like there's a lack of ideas in this space, and it's not like there's a lack of proposals that have come forward. One of the pieces that isn't discussed all that much about the bipartisan bill that was passed out of the Senate on immigration was that it actually had historic protections for the border. That's a piece that tends to get dropped a little bit. Even the Speaker Boehner said just this week that the faster we can pass immigration, the better it'll be for the economy, which we know will be better for all of us overall. The House allegedly has the votes. I think they have the votes to pass this bill. They just haven't brought it up. And what did the House do this week? They came in and they went right on back home to start campaigning again. The ideas are there. The House could make this happen tomorrow. The votes are there.
I mean, pox on both houses. Look, I can't believe that you're actually willing to do like a cost-benefit analysis on our safety. This is something that has to be addressed. And if you're going to look at dollar signs for all the other stupid stuff we do. But this is the one thing the government's, this is their only real job, is to protect and defend for our safety. So then their money shouldn't be an object.
But Gary B., there may be better ways to spend the money. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. I'm not arguing that the $22 billion or whatever it would cost the wall is money, you know, ill spent on terrorism. I just think it's spent in the wrong way. Look, if you went back and you said, how could we have prevented 9/11? You'd say, we needed to beef up the intelligence, beef up the CIA, beef up the NSA. That would have been the way to get to these, or at least have the agencies working together since we have the knowledge. You want to spend billions of dollars, I'm fine with it, to protect the country. But don't build a silly wall. That's not going to stop the terrorists. My gosh, they're recruiting Americans into ISIS here. Those people are already here legally. You're not going to get them except by listening to phone calls, doing intelligence, doing all the things that the CIA, NSA, and who knows what other government agency does.
Okay, John, you think it's a silly wall, as Gary B. says?
I think in parts of the country, yes, it is a silly wall. I think people who get hung up on a wall get lost to the fact. Look, I have a lot of issues with what's been said. This isn't about a machete attack. Remember, 9/11 was done by box cutters.
Right.
And as far as the Canadian border, you don't have 60,000 official drug-related murders in Canada. You don't have heads being cut off and people being executed on the Canadian-U.S. border. There is a complete difference between that border and the Mexican-U.S. border. The Berlin Wall, you had thousands that crossed. The last year, you've had 157,000 people that the government has said that they've missed that has come into our country. We have secured borders that are a lot worse than that before. We secured the Pakistan-Afghanistan border. I've been there. We've secured it. We can secure this border as well, but not necessarily a wall. Wall doesn't work in certain geographical areas. Take our troops that are in Afghanistan, take our troops that are in different places, place them along the border and let our troops patrol that border, and you will be able to shut down that border.
And there's your wall.
Jonas, what do you think?
Well, I'm not disagreeing with the crisis on the border of Mexico, but a lot of that, where is that crime now? It didn't spill over. It's a porous border. Like, those are drug gangs killing each other over an illegal drug business, smuggling Americans. So the fact that we have this border now that's weak, they're not coming over and killing Americans and chopping up heads like they do on the other side of the Mexican border. So adding security isn't going to, I don't say that's going to help. It's just going to raise costs.
Tracy?
I mean, but meanwhile, we leave the doors wide open. We might as well serve hors d'oeuvres as they cross the borders to come here. I mean, I think it's ridiculous. Like, we have to do something. And to say that building something, putting up something, it's not going to work, fine. But you know what? There has to be something there more than what we have now. And I think everyone could come to an agreement on that. We need something. We cannot just let these people come freely into our country, because I tell you, you don't know who they are and you don't know where they're coming from.
All right. That's the last word. Thanks, guys.